The final question, and number 11, this is another law of cosines problem, because if you can look at our picture quickly, we can see we got a side, 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 and we also have the absence of a side angle pair. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and find one of the missing angles. And I said, if you use the law of cosines, try to find your largest angle in your law of cosines, and if you're using the law of sines, find your smallest angle. So we're going to look at finding the longest angle, or the biggest angle, which is across on the longest side. So we're going to find the measure of angle A. So remember, your side angle pairs have to go together, so that means you got the 17 squared has to equal the other two sides squared, 8 squared and 11 squared, minus 2 times those two sides, which are 8 and 11, times the cosine of your angle A. Again, putting together that the opposites side angle pair always are on the outside edges of your formula, or your edges of your law of cosines. Now our goal is to get A by itself. So to get A by itself, we've got to remove several different things. And we're going to go through this gem-DOS backwards. So we want to get rid of addition and subtraction first. So it's 17 squared, we want to get rid of adding 8 squared. So to get rid of adding 8 squared, we want to make sure that we subtract 8 squared. To get rid of adding 11 squared, we want to subtract 11 squared. So now we got rid of all the addition subtraction. This is really a subtraction problem, but it's also a negative sign. It's a negative 2 times 8 times 11. So this is all multiplication. So now we're going to get rid of multiplication with division. So to get rid of all of these, we're going to divide by negative 2 times 8 times 11. So now we've gotten rid of all of these. The only thing we have left to get rid of is the cosine. So that's equal to the cosine of A. I've run out of room, so I just will drop it down here and write it again. So to get rid of a cosine, we have to do the inverse cosine. So our calculation that we're going to run is the inverse cosine of 17 squared minus an 8 squared minus an 11 squared, all divided by negative 2 times 8 times 11. That will be the measurement of angle A. So we can run this calculation, and we can put it all in one line, or you can break it up. Be careful if you break it up, though, because some people are messing up their order of operations. So inverse cosine. Notice that I already put a parenthesis in there. I want to get the numerator in parentheses, so I add a parenthesis and go 17 squared. We want to subtract our 8 squared. Then we want to subtract our 11 squared. Now that's the end of the numerator, so close it. We want to divide it by. Now we're going to introduce the denominator, so I'm going to put a parenthesis to include the negative 2 times 8 times 11. That's the end of the denominator. Close your parenthesis for the denominator. Now close the parenthesis for your inverse cosine. Enter. A is approximately 126-degree angle if you round to the nearest degree. Okay, so we're going to go and include that back in our picture. A is 126 degrees. Now we got to go find another angle. And as soon as we found this angle, we now have a side angle pair that we can use. So I'm going to shift 2, instead of law of cosines, into the law of sines. So to find the next thing, whenever you do law of sines, go find the smallest angle, which will be across from the shortest side. So we're going to find angle B. So the sine of angle B is to 8, as the sine of 126 is to 17. To find B, we have to do the inverse sine of 8 times the sine of 126 over 17. I'll rewrite that so it's a little more clear. 8 sine of 126 all over 17. And we will do an inverse sine. And then we want the numerator all put in 1. So it's 8 sine of 126. Close the parenthesis for the sine, close the parenthesis for the numerator, divided by, there's only one number in the denominator, so 17. Close your parenthesis for inverse sine, 22.37. So if we round this, B is approximately 22 degrees. So now that I have that one is 22 degrees, we're going to do our final calculation. Well, I'm just going to do it so I don't have to do that. It's 180 minus the sum of our other two angles, which is 126, and the angle B that we found was 22, parenthesis, equals 32. So now I've got a 32-degree angle up for angle C. So just completing my picture, this is a 22-degree angle, this is a 32-degree angle, and we now have everything solved for.